Greetings and bienvenue, midnight crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
I'll bite. Have no idea how long this'll take, so strap in. Going to be a couple of stories from my time as a trucker. Be me. Freshly 21 years old. No aim in life, recently was evicted and lived with my father. Decide one day randomly while playing American Truck Simulator that, hey, I could do this no problem. I'm a bit spontaneous with my decision making. Get in contact with a company, they agree to ship me out across the country for training. Excited, I've never really left my Midwest state and wanted to see the country, plus the money I was going to be making was crazy to think about. Get out there, get the training done, took about a month altogether. A lot more went into driving semi-trucks and hauling shit than my shitty vidya lead me to believe. My first partner is some 50-something army vet. He's a bit strange and has a short temper, but I just keep my mouth shut and always say, "Yes sir," when he gives me advice. I was brand new and he'd been doing this for years. The first delivery we do is from San Francisco to upstate New York, literally coast to coast, which meant a big paycheck. Before we ship out, he decides to stop our little conversation and lighthearted joking and got very serious.
"You see this?"
He's holding up one of those 100p notebooks with the funky pattern. Think the Ned's declassified notebook if anyone knows what I'm talking about. It says, "Diary," on the front.
"Never ever touch this or read it. It is my property and my personal business."
Why yes sir, of course. A bit strange but whatever. Fast forward like 4 months, from what I can tell the dude isn't completely right in the head, the most minor inconvenience will make him flip his top. I mean someone will cut him off or won't let him merge and he'll yank the entire rig over on the side of the road to have a scream and cry fit. Tears, snot, thrashing his arms, the whole bit. It freaks me out a bit. The dude is obviously unhinged, but I chalk it up to PTSD from the army. One day he decides he needs to go home and handle some personally business, something that happens often. We pull off in a trucking parking lot somewhere in Pennsylvania. His East Asian wife, who speaks zero English, picks him up. I'm sitting in the truck playing Hearthstone on my phone waiting for him to get back. I look over to the passenger seat. It's his diary, he must have forgotten it. The thought crosses my mind to look in it, but resist the urge at first. I mean, it's sort of a dick thing to do and I'm not the type to do something like that. Or so I thought. After about 10 minutes of going back and forth in my mind about it, I decide fuck it. I'll have a bit of a peek. Flip through it. Shit about how lonely it is on the truck at months at a time, on the road. With loneliness comes frustration. Sexual frustration even. Okay? Sure, I get it. He continues on about how it weighs on his mind more and more. Finally catch up to the part where I got on the truck. The mood of the diary immediately shifts. Instead of describing me by my name, or even age, he starts writing about how smooth my skin is. Excuse me? How exciting it is to have someone else to finally share the road with. How
his clothes fit him well.
Oh God, please, no please. How my smell is, and I quote,
"Invigorating."
He then explains in his fucking diary that he did a
bad thing.
How he took one of my pairs of boxers
for use later.
My blood ran absolutely cold. I immediately ran to the back of the truck where the bunks are and flipped the bottom bunk open where I kept my suitcase was. When you only have a certain amount of clothes and you wear them for months non-stop, you notice when one's missing. I count my boxers, including the ones I was wearing. One's missing.
Hell yeah. Breaker ready for some stories over. As a random question, did you often have more than one of you in a truck at a time? I wouldn't mind road tripping it with someone, but my driving record isn't the best.
Yeah, me and my partner, which my company made mandatory so the truck could run non-stop. You were allowed to take friends and family too, but the company had to clear the person and make sure they didn't have a criminal history. Also, side note, that pic was meant for the story after this one where my second partner was a Pakistani who absolutely hated a certain group. Anyway, I started to get a sick feeling in my stomach. I packed all of my things, loaded them off the truck and got a motel, called the company and told them I wanted another partner. I didn't care how long I'd have to wait. They obviously ask why. I tell them and my dispatch said, "I'm so sorry, etc., etc." and said he'd call me back. 30 minutes pass and I get texts blowing up my phone from my partner, saying everything from,
"You broke my trust. That was confidential."
and my favorite,
"You were asking for it from day one."
Keep in mind I'm a 21-year-old dude. Call him a freak, block the number. About an hour and a half later I'm watching the shitty cable TV they have in the motel. Hear stomping coming from down the hall. Hear beating on my door. I mean, it sounds like someone is trying to kick it in. Hear my partner's voice.
"You motherfucker. Your ass is mine. Get the fuck out here. You lying shit."
Call the front desk, who call the police. While they're on their way I decide to look out the little eye-hole thing in the door. He's completely naked and holding a tire iron pacing back and forth in front of my door. Police eventually get there. Apparently he has a history of this sort of thing and my dispatch told him over the phone he needed to leave his shit at home because he isn't getting back on the truck, he's fired. The guy then goes livid, calls the branch office that handles paying for motels. They haven't got word yet of what happened. He calls them and asks what room I'm staying in and that our truck broke down. They then tell him not only the motel I was staying in, but the floor and room number. That wasn't very paranormal spooky ooky, but it was the first crazy experience I had driving a truck. I have other stories that get pretty freaky as far as related topics go if anyone is interested in hearing them. Alright. Since the last one was just about my crazy partner and was long as fuck, here's a shorter one. Don't remember how long this was into my driving career, let's say 6 months. Got a new partner, some Pakistani dude who lived in Vegas. The only partner that wasn't a huge weirdo and was actually funny as fuck. Super chill. Driving with him was a blast. Out in Wyoming, it was cold as fuck and wasn't even winter yet. During training my training partner was some boomer named Russ. He lived in Wyoming and would tell me about how many accidents were there. I had this idea that Wyoming was some dangerous mountain of twisting roads to navigate. Leave Salt Lake City on a delivery to Philadelphia. Take I-80, which cuts straight through the entire state. When I enter the state, I'm confused. It's literally the straightest roads out of any state I've driven in. Think, this'll be a piece of cake. Around 200 miles in Wyoming I get an alert on my Qualcomm, which is like this little touchscreen computer that acts as a GPS, and a messaging system between the truck and dispatch.
Wind danger, seek immediate shelter.
Huh? The fuck does that mean? There's no storms, the sky is clear, and then the wind hits me. Wham! Feel like someone just struck me on my passenger side. My trailer fishtails and I begin to see the tandems, the back tires of the trailer, lift off the ground. Freak the fuck out and try to counter steer while braking, but not braking too hard or I'll lose control of the truck. Manage to come to a stop, pull off on the side of the road and put my flashers on, get out to set reflectors on the road. At this point everyone is pulling over, the wind is crazy. Get out and actually get knocked on my ass by the wind, and I start rolling. Like some shit you see in Looney Tunes. Realize putting out reflectors would be useless, they'd just blow away. The wind is like ice against my skin, I mean it actually is painful, it's so cold. Make it back to my truck. Entire interstate is shut down at this point, nobody is going nowhere until this wind dies down. Get bored listening to Coast AM talk about the plague and decide to turn on the CB. This was my partner's truck, so he had a CB installed, usually left it off because it was boomers wheezing about young people. Listen to them talk a bit, hop in and start bullshitting with the older dudes, banter, laugh, etc. Thick fog rolls in, and I mean fucking thick. Can't see anything, can't even see my trailer behind me in the mirrors. It's bizarre to have all of this fog with the amount of wind we have. In fact, it shouldn't be possible. Some time passes and someone hops on the CB and sounds fucking pissed.
Anyone off you assholes fucking with me better quit. I got a gun and I'll shoot your diabetic asses.
We ask him WTF he's on about.
Some punk thought it'd be funny to either knock on my truck or throw something at it.
I laugh, the things these dumb asses will do when bored. Then someone else pipes up, says it just happened. I get a little spooked, but whatever, it's just some guy having a bit of fun trying to scare people. We notice a pattern. It's going down the interstate heading west. Then the guy in front of me, some black dude by the sound of it, said someone just pounded on his door waking up his partner. I sit up in my seat wide-eyed, turn on my brights, and what I fucking see, nothing, literally nothing. Stand up so I can get a look over the hood of the truck. The moment I do, loud as absolute fuck, trip over the CB cord and almost piss myself. Get up and about to go see who it was when I come to my senses and say fuck that. Make sure the doors are locked, set an alarm for sunrise and climb up on the top bunk to get some sleep. Sit there staring at the roof while listening to the wind howl outside. Almost sounds like someone screaming. Get no fucking sleep. Pick related, it's I-80 in Wyoming. Alright, here's a spooky one for you, and one I actually have pictures of I took myself. It was a crazy night. Sleeping in the bottom bunk. Or trying to, sort of in and out of consciousness. This was with my Pakistani partner I mentioned before. It's almost impossible to get much sleep on the top bunk while the truck is moving, so we just shared the bottom bunk and would swap sheets out every time it was our turn to sleep. On I-40 leaving Arkansas and entering Oklahoma. I'd say about 80 miles from Fort Smith, if anyone is familiar. All of a sudden I hear,
Bismillah, fuck.
And the truck starts swerving. He is putting all of his weight on the brake pedal, hear the engine brake engage. It's also called a J brake. It restricts the muffler's air and forces the transmission to downshift. I finally come to and I'm lying on the dashboard of the truck. I flew all the fucking way from the back of the truck to the front. It's a miracle I didn't fly out the window. As I climb down off the dashboard and ask Side what the fuck his problem is, he just points in front of the truck. An entire rig flipped the fuck over. It can't be more than a couple of yards in front of us. Sit there staring at it for a second, then I realize. Fuck, we have to help them. I throw on pants and hop out the truck running over to the cab. By this time trucks had stopped behind us. Thank God they didn't strike us from behind, and are running over as well. Me and some younger Mexican dude climb up on the cab, trying to pry the door open. I ask if they're all right and get a moan in response. Can't get the door open. Tell them to cover their eyes as me and this other guy begin breaking the window. We finally busted and the Mexican dude climbs in first. He was smaller so it'd be easier to pull him out. We finally get this guy and his partner out of the truck. They are bleeding but insist that they're okay. Pick related, the red truck is mine, censored the truck number for obvious reasons. The guys that wrecked are father and son, some Indian dudes. I mean Indian as in Native American. The son was driving, father was apparently sleeping. It's a miracle the old man wasn't hurt worse. We aren't going anywhere for a while until the police get a crane truck to pull their truck out of the way. The question finally comes up. What the fuck made you turn over your truck like that?
My mother.
Huh?
It was my mother, I know it was Mom.
He then begins to explain while driving he smelled the perfume his mother used to wear. As he's trying to figure out what that smell was, and this is what he said, his mother, plain as day, was standing in the middle of the road while he was going 70 miles per hour. His first reaction without thinking was to swerve and avoid her, causing him to lose control and flip the truck. His father cuts him off saying,
"That's enough, no more."
He begins arguing with his father about it, and I ask, "How could your mother be out in the middle of nowhere?" The father looks straight at me and says,
"My wife's been dead for 14 years, he must be mistaken."
My blood runs cold. I walk away and get in my truck, smoke a cig and try to process what just happened. Cops finally show up 2 fucking hours later and begin to attempt to move the truck. They take my statement, my partner's, and a few other people. I don't know what side told them, but I told the officer what the son and father said. I see the color drain from his face.
That will be all. Thanks for taking the time, sir. Have a good night.
Second cop walks up to me laughing and shaking his head. I ask him what's so funny.
This truck was hauling fertilizer, a few more feet, and you would have struck the trailer. I'm sure you know what would have happened then, right?
I just nod my head.
Well, if that's not luck, I don't know what is.
Ha ha, yeah. Pick related, it's around where we were when it happened.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.